on, please. One more.
Where should I put this?
Oh, anywhere's fine. I'm just...
Guess who's back? Back again. Yeah, let's break down Season 2, Episode 22 of Andy Mack and find out just what happened. Rise and shine on, you lovely people. Lisa here, and is that a corny greeting? It's a corny greeting, right? Yeah, I know other YouTubers have signature greetings, and I'm still trying to figure one out, or if I even need one, and what sounds good. But nonetheless, welcome back to another episode of my recap show, What Happened? This week we have another new episode of Andy Mack called Keep a Lid on It, and as expected, Buffy is back, which we saw a glimpse of in the last episode, but now we know officially why she's back, and if she's back for good. So, did all of you think they were just gonna, write Buffy off the show and not let her be on it anymore? Yeah, I didn't think so. They had to figure out some way to bring her back. And of course, being back, there's some things to make that even more complicated. But for all of you that also keep wondering about Cyrus's crush on Jonah, I've gotten that on the comments in the last couple recaps. That is finally addressed again. So let's go ahead and just dive into this episode.
Are you ready for it?
First, let's start with Pops' storyline. Yeah, Pops finally has a bit of a storyline, but it's bittersweet. So remember when Cece and Pops were planning to sell the house and travel, but then they stayed for Andy? Well, that's finally back in play here. Cece, Pops, Andy, and Bex are happy again as a family. They're having these great family dinners, they're playing their games, they're laughing. Cece even loses the game. Yeah, it's a completely different family dinner than we saw when this show first began, and I love that development.
Wait. Important question. Did Mom just lose the memory game?
Yes, she did. You two need to be nice to me. I just got us dumplings.
But of course, sadly, when you start to see things be really good, there's always something to throw a wrench in those plans. So, when it's dumpling night and Bex and Andy are helping Pops make dumplings, he drops a bomb. He's going away for a bit, maybe even months, to travel the world. Because you see, that was always his and Cece's dreams, but Cece's dreams have changed and his unfortunately haven't. So yeah, he's planning to go for a while to travel. But here's the thing. He hasn't quite told Cece yet, and he's planning on doing it over the dumpling dinner. Well, at dinner, the mood definitely changes to awkward, and we don't actually see them finish this scene out and tell Cece what's going on. I'm guessing they're saving that for another episode. But I would say I'm glad it was just that he wants to travel the world, because the way he was talking at first made it seem like a divorce was happening, and that would have been too much for me to handle on this show. But thankfully it's just that he wants to travel the world. But I don't know how Cece's gonna take it. She's a character who's changed a lot throughout the show, so that's gonna be interesting to see. But I will say those dumplings really looked good, and it makes me want to just go get on Postmates right now and order a bunch of pot stickers and dumplings and just stuff my face. But yeah, we don't actually see much of Pops on the show anyway. He's just a recurring character, but he's a character I've always liked, so I'm going to be sad if he does end up going. If he does go, I feel like that means he won't really be in Season 3, but we'll just have to wait to see how this whole little storyline plays out. In this episode, we also have Jonah back to playing Ultimate Frisbee. This time around, he's trying out for a Premier League Ultimate team, and he's pretty nervous about this tryout here, but thankfully his handy-dandy hype man Cyrus shows up with his vest. Now unfortunately Jonah does not end up making the team, but he actually takes this news well. He is not defeated. He uses this to motivate him and says that it gives him a goal to work towards. And Cyrus, of course, is there to comfort him though in case he needs it.
We're both lucky. Hey, you know what'll make you feel happy? Seeing Buffy. Let's go.
There's a friendly hug, and Jonah even asks to borrow Cyrus's vest because he thinks that if he can be the elite team's best friend, like how Cyrus was his best friend, then Jonah will get an advantage. It'll help him learn all the plays, get him to go with the team, and that kind of things to prepare him for the next tryout. Smart man, smart man. Now the episode actually opens with Buffy's return and surprising Cyrus at the spoon. So is Buffy just back for a few episodes, or is she back for good? It turns out that the government has made a bunch of budget cuts, which means Buffy's mom's new program got the axe, but she did get a job just an hour away. So yeah, welcome back, Buffy. Buffy's going to be able to go back and forth. I don't think she's maybe going to go to school with them, but being only an hour away, she can easily come hang out with them in the afternoons and weekends. And now Buffy is really curious what's in that time capsule, so we'll get back to this in a second. We gotta pause it for a moment about Andi and Jonah. So Andi's struggling with how to tell Jonah or show Jonah she wants to be boyfriend and girlfriend again. So she's making him another bracelet in the Andi shack because that worked the first time. And when Bex comes to check on Andi, they talk about the meaning of the original bracelet and how, I don't know, it just had this kind of really deep meaning. It was a totem, and this new one might not have the same thing, but Andi doesn't really know what to do because she doesn't have that first one. She threw it out. And well, that's when Bex kind of has a surprise for Andi.
You made me a memory box? Open it.
Let's talk it out.
I love that Andi now has her own memory box. It's kind of like, I feel like a rite of passage in Bex's family. You know, if Bex ever has another kid, they'll probably get their own memory box. It's like a traditional thing, and I like that. So now that Andi has this original bracelet back, she has to figure out how to exactly talk to Jonah and give it to him. So now we're going back to this time capsule. So the next day, Buffy and Andi and Bex are trying to figure out how to get the dang thing open. That lid is stuck on there tight, but there's no luck. So Bex suggests, hey, why don't you call Jonah over to help? And of course, this is more of a play of, Andi getting Jonah to just come over to have an excuse to text him to say, get over here, Eve. And it's not as much of a, we need a strong man to come, get this thing open, because Buffy even points out that, yeah, she beat Jonah in arm wrestling. So Andi and Buffy try to figure out, they plan how to text Jonah to come over and help while Bex goes off to get snacks. So now Andi's really worried about what to say, and then she and Buffy end up talking about the time capsule, and Buffy's like, well, tell me what's inside the time capsule. So Andi tells her everything that's in there, including how there's the jersey and the basketball signed by the entire team, including TJ. And Andi tells Buffy that was all Jonah's idea, and it was also Jonah's idea to not bury the entire capsule, but to just give it to her as it was. There's also a mention of Marty here, and we learn that Marty has a new girlfriend. But all of this leads to Buffy apologizing again for leaving without saying goodbye, and now that she knows what's in the time capsule, she's like, you know what? Don't really need to open this thing anymore. So Andi's like, well, then why am I gonna text Jonah? What's the excuse now? So Buffy's like, you know what? I'll just text him to come over because I'm back. So she sends a text to Jonah, and Jonah and Cyrus hop right on over. So now the whole gang is right over at Andi's, and what do you know? Jonah actually has the instructions for how to open the time capsule in his wallet. Of course he does. Andi and Jonah then go outside to have their, talk, while Cyrus and Buffy, of course, jet to that window to look through the blinds and snoop. But the bracelet is exchanged, and it looks like Jandy is official again.
This was a girlfriendy, boyfriendy thing. Do you still think that?
Yes. Do you?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the inside of the house, Cyrus tells Buffy he's actually happy for Jonah and Andi this time, and he means it.
Today is when I realized it. He felt bad, so we hugged, which used to make my heart go like ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. But this time, it was more ba-boom.
He's finally realized his crush on Jonah is actually over.
Your crush just disappeared.
I wouldn't say disappeared, more like just changed to friendship.
I'm sorry, Cyrus shippers, but this sounds like, yeah, that's not possibly gonna happen at all. Like, Cyrus has moved on. He knows that this is just a friendship, and maybe, though, this opens the door for a new crush, or maybe a crush on someone we've already met. I guess we'll find out soon, maybe, hopefully. But then Cyrus brings up how he thinks Buffy has never had a crush at all. She doesn't understand. But Buffy actually says she does, but it's new, and it just happened. And then, of course, Bex shows up and ruins the moment, so we don't get to hear the name of the crush that Buffy had. But it kind of also, it's heartbreaking that she's saying this person is her first crush, so that means she never had a crush on Marty, and I was rooting for them. I liked them back then. But like I said, Marty and Buffy, officially, Marty moved on, and, Buffy's moved on too. So, what about this new crush, right? Thankfully, we do get back to this conversation. It's not booted till the next episode. So we have Cyrus trying to be the detective here, going through the entire yearbook to guess who Buffy's crush is. But Buffy tells Cyrus it doesn't matter because nothing will happen with it, and they can't tell Andi. But those are two clues that have Cyrus's little detective meter going ding, 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 ding. And, well, yeah, he figures out who it is.
Because it's him?
Yeah, I'm not so sure how I personally feel about this storyline. When Buffy first mentioned she had a crush, and we knew for a fact it was not Marty, because I feel like they put a nice bow on that. For a second, I thought she was going to say TJ, since she found out TJ did sign the ball. Maybe Cyrus said something about TJ changing. I don't know, but that would have made things complicated, of course, because I feel like everybody's rooting for Cyrus and TJ to have something, and maybe just TJ and Buffy to be friends. But that would have complicated things, and, you know, it would have been, instead of Cyrus and Andy having the crush on the same person, it would have been on Buffy and Cyrus having a crush on the same person. Even though we don't fully know that Cyrus has a crush on TJ, it's just kind of implied. But yeah, I thought that's where this was going, and I was like, oh, we've kind of seen this already. But then the show just one-ups it and makes it even so much more dramatic. Like, yeah, they make Buffy's crush be on Jonah. Like, right when she sees her best friend and Jonah get back together, she's like, well, I just realized I had a crush on him. At least she's smart enough to know that nothing can happen with it, but I'm just kind of annoyed that this is where they would go in the first place. Like, I don't need another love triangle. I feel like we've had so many on this show already. But I get it. Buffy, you know, thinks that Jonah cares for her, which he does, like, in the friendship way, right? She kind of got triggered for this crush by hearing that he's the one who came up with the idea to put the jersey in there, the basketball, and to not bury it but just give it to her. Like, she was like, oh, he does know who I am, but it's just gonna make things so much more complicated, because, you know, this, like, the relationship would never be able to happen, not unless it was like 20 years from now. So I feel like, I'm just like, why would you introduce it that way? I guess we're gonna find out how this whole drama thing plays out, and it seems like there's a lot of drama coming in the end of this season. We don't have that many episodes left, but they're cramming it all in these last few episodes, including the next episode, which has a lot of storylines playing out. So let's break down this promo.
Ah! What are you doing here? Sorry, the bulb's usually on if my mom's with a patient.
Of course you'd be here.
Of course, you'd be here.
Jonah, allow me to explain.
I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
Okay, so we have Cyrus running into Amber at his mom's office. So Amber is, you know, going to therapy, it seems like, which actually I feel like is an interesting storyline. Plus, I've been waiting to find out more about Amber for a long time. They give us little bits and pieces, but I feel like it's so spread out you kind of forget about it. But Cyrus is like always the guy that finds out everyone's secrets. He's like that trusty best friend, but I'm glad that she's back in the picture. We also have Walker showing up again to make that whole dramatic thing going on with the love triangle there. But I hope that the line Jonah says in this teaser is actually, like, not the obvious what's going on here. It's just to throw us off, and he's gonna be like, you know what? I know what's going on here. You're just friends. I trust you to be friends. But we'll see what happens with that.
Morgan, let me show you something. Each one of these plays a different song.
I like it.
Can you put away the music boxes?
Okay.
Is that all the boxes?
Yes.
A tell. It's an unconscious thing you do when you're trying to hide something, like who you have a crush on.
Ugh, you guys, Morgan and her mom are back, and it looks like she actually is a little klepto. Ugh, I knew it. Hashtag justice for Andy. Come on, Bowie. I got faith in you. You're gonna open your eyes. He's finally seeing it firsthand. And we also do have more of Buffy's crush on Jonah coming into play this season. They're bringing out all the drama in these final few episodes. So, what were your thoughts on this episode? Hit me up down in the comments. Now, I gotta say, I actually am happy Buffy is back. Just not so happy about the storyline about her crush on Jonah. But I am glad that they finally addressed the Cyrus and Jonah crush. I feel like they put a nice bow on that. I feel it's nice to see someone have their first crush and then realize, okay, I can move on from this. You know, crushes don't last forever for the most part, right? I feel like this is a very normal thing. It helped Cyrus discover who he was, that he was gay, and now he's ready to move on. So we'll see if they give him another kind of a crush, love interest, or if, you know, this thing with TJ will play out. We don't know. But now that the book has officially seemed to close on Cyrus, are you rooting for Cyrus? What do you think will happen with Jonah and Andy? What character do you want to see more of? Make all your predictions for the rest of the season and the next season down in the comments below. After that, be sure you hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, hit the bell, do whatever you've got to do on this page to make it fun for you. And after that, if you want details on Riverdale Season 3 or even Shadowhunters 3B, I got those for you right over here. And I'll see you guys next time. Shine on, be happy, have a good week.